Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Today, let's talk about the Mars topic. Again, it's the third episode. It's about who will be the first group of people, or what kind of people will be the first group to be sent to Mars by the SpaceX. Now I'm in a swimming pool in my community, so I'm kind of half naked, so sorry about that. The first few group of people must be able to deliver a very high standard of working ability to solve real world problems. They should be similar to some quality of Marine Corps or the Navy SEALs to conquer the extreme challenges of the Mars atmosphere and the on-land environment. And they should have very high standard of health. They should be able to endure the 2-year one-way trip in the SpaceX Starship. A few of the starships have been built and can be viewed from outside in the very southern part of Texas. That point is usually called the Baton Rouge or the Copernicus village or Copernicus island, I think, but you know what I mean. And they should have as all the capabilities as astronauts, and they should, or at least some of them should have been like reigned by the U.S. military or the U.S. government. They will be ordered by the U.S. to force them to accomplish what they should do, like build up some tents, build up some buildings, build up some disciplines, law systems or rule system or class systems on Mars, so that there will be a society functioning well to finish the tasks essential to their surviving and sustainable development. And the most important thing is that if they want to develop from 1,000 people to 1,000,000 people, there must be a military system and a police system to govern the innocent people there or the lawful people there, and to punish the criminals there. If no matter how strict you select the people, when it comes to 1,000 to 1,000,000, that large amount, there sooner or later there will be some criminals. Then there will be some prison on it. And before that, from 1 to 1,000, there must be someone with supreme power, like who has a fully bulletproof equipment, and he has the right. He has the only right to use the machine gun or a gun, during which time other people are not allowed to use any weapons. So that he or a group of small amount of people can order other people to get things done, like today put up a tent, tomorrow build up a building, the next day manufacture some other things, make some other things, or next week there will be a solar wind attack the Mars. We must dig a very big hole and put oxygen in it and we all need to hide into it before the solar wind hit onto the Mars surface. So these kind of things must be mandatorily done, and some people reluctant to do it must be forced to make them to take the action. So there must be very strict discipline from 1 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 1,000,000. Of course, that will be based on morality or ethics, and then there must be laws, and there will be police and military. And I think if over 1,000,000, there will be huge military basement, like the Razor, or laser weapons to as powerful as nuclear weapons, or besides laser weapons, there should be nuclear weapons and hydrogen nuclear weapons to wipe out any threats of dwarfs and mesquites hitting onto the Mars to change the climate and kill all those millions of people. And then it comes to the geopolitical concern. If the US and SpaceX and NASA will be successful to put on a super weapon, laser weapon on Mars, so that Mars can attack on Earth, but Earth will not be able to fight back because the only laser weapon on Earth is owned by the US. The rest of the world can only maybe own some nuclear weapons, but nuclear weapons is delivered by missiles. The missiles launched from Earth, if we want the missiles arrive on the target on the Mars, that will take at least a year. Then the laser weapon on Mars will have enough time to shoot, to block, or to destroy all the missiles shoot from Earth to Mars. But the laser weapon shoot from Mars to Earth can arrive on any targets on Earth within about 1 to 2 minutes, and the speed is the speed of light. So theoretically we cannot stop that. We cannot block the laser attacks from Mars. Then at that time the US and the Mars civilization will have another military supreme, similar to the US nuclear supreme in 1945, which kind of accelerated the end of the World War II. And then if the US will have another military supreme, then that will develop into a political supreme, and then probably the US will unite the whole Earth. The United States of America will be able to take advantage of the Mars to unite all of the human beings as one political entity. Then that will be a new era of human beings' history. So I think many countries, especially the largest countries, all have realized this situation. So all the major strategies of the major countries are to compete in the universe, compete on who will be able to launch the first man, launch the first group of troops. The build up the first few buildings, cities, streets, civilizations on Mars, and build up the first super weapons like laser weapons which can attack on Earth. If the US achieve it first, and then China and Russia and the EU achieve it maybe 30 years later, 50 years later, then the US will be able to rule the whole world and unite the whole human beings into one country. Then the geopolitical conflicts of the human beings on Earth will be put into an end. Then in the new era of human beings on Earth, there probably will be very little military force. All the other countries cannot have any weapons. They probably can only have police system, but they cannot have tanks, fighter jets, bombers, aircraft carriers, marines, etc. They cannot have all of those. They cannot have any of those. They can only have police, and then the only U.S. can have military. Then the world will be very much more peaceful. I think there will not be like constant conflicts between North Korea and South Korea, between Pakistan and India, between Arabic world and Israel, etc. Between East Europe and West Europe, between North America and Latin America, etc. But before the U.S. really achieve those, there are many steps. First, you need to launch a few people onto Mars, and then you launch thousands of them, and then tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of them, and then millions of them. Then you can build up a functional city, and then build up a super weapon. Then you call it civilization, and you call human beings really conquer Mars and survive on Mars. That takes probably another 30 to 50 years or 100 years. Elon Musk said he can achieve it before his death in his life, and he is now about 50 years old. And suppose he can work and he can live and work until his 100 years old birthday, then he has another 50 years. Within 50 years, I'm not sure if he can he can send 500,000 people to the Mars, or 1 million or 5 million people to the Mars. But according to him, he is pretty confident in it. He can at least send 1 million people to Mars. But let's see. I seriously thought that, but I cannot say that's impossible. But what if he succeeded? We can see the day that the Earth, the human beings will be united in next 30 to 50 years. Then the human being history will enter a new era. Not only we become a dual planetary species, but also we are going to be a united one nation, one country, one political system species. Yeah. And we will see. Yeah, this is pretty much all what I want to say is the benefits of immigration to the Mars. Why the U.S. government and the NASA and China and Russia and EU all sponsors, all pour a lot of money from their GDP into this universe space competition. It has huge benefits in it. They all have a huge ambition to conquer the whole human being species, to unite the whole human being species. Who will be the greatest political figure to achieve this greatest thing? Well, they all want to be, but let's see who will be the commander, the political commander of that achievement. Okay, let's see in next 30 to 50 years. Okay, so much for this. Thank you guys.